Alrighty, so now we're going to move on to Aman, who is the owner of JICS. Okay, so I was going to say JICS, but he said JICS. So they're a migration agency, and I can see they've got Brett Lee as their brand ambassador, which is quite a get. Which is fantastic. So I was speaking to Sarah before, and she was saying that basically Aman does the whole process, which includes journeys, education, the whole thing. And it's quite a process migrating to Australia. So we're glad that we have someone like Aman and the team here. So, Aman, if you'd like to take over, it is your floor.
Sure. Thank you so much, Chris. Really appreciate it. And good to see
Oh,
you again. I think I
likewise.
saw your presentation maybe late last week or earlier this week. No, late last week, I think it was.
Oh,
So
I'm always presenting, so
always,
I can't tell which one.
yeah. It was the Cub one. It was the Cub one, which was
The card one.
fantastic. Um, Excellent, excellent. So let me just share my screen. Sorry, I'm not the most proficient with Zoom, but let me just see if I can make this work. Okay, from beginning.
So, Aman, what we can see is the whole slide. Oh, yep, yep, yep. Perfect.
It's
Ready to go.
working? Ah,
Yep,
perfect,
yep.
perfect. So, excellent. So yeah, look, our journey, I guess, to keep it concise, we established the business 8 years ago. And we started off more on the job search coaching side, helping migrants in terms of their job search journeys. We found that there was a bit of a gap in the market where people come to Australia and they would really not know how the system works, how they need to engage, how they need to present their CV, and just end to end, they wouldn't have the strategies in place to be able to navigate the Australian market, and so that's where I got the idea, and start of that was the beginnings or the early days of the process. Since then, we've expanded our business, so we've gone into immigration side, like you mentioned earlier, Chris. So the immigration side includes two specific aspects. So one is working with businesses to help their skill shortages, and that includes managing the visa process as well as kind of sourcing talent as well from time to time, and whether that be in healthcare or in technology or manufacturing, or hospitality is another big industry. So we work with industries where there is a big shortage, and we find that yeah, a lot of shortage does exist in Australia within certain pockets, and especially within regional areas as well. There's a big shortage of, say, nurses, for example. So we focus on that side on the immigration front. And then the final area that we have looked at or launched more recently is the international education, where we assist with international students with getting into bachelor's and master's degrees and so forth. So yeah, so those are the three areas that we look at: migration, job search, and education side. Um, so in terms of yeah, like I said, seven years, almost eight now. So we've been going for a little while and have been in that growth phase. In terms of the skill shortages, I mean, the core visa that we generally work on is the 482 visa. And that allows businesses to usually sponsor employees for 2, 3, or 4 years. Um, and bring them across from overseas. And it's quite a streamlined process where end to end, it's probably, a kind of a 4 to 12 week process. Um, and as long as the employee has the right skill set, the company has the right level of revenue and profitability, then we can engage with that. And it's a process where if my lawyers say that we are going to get it approved, like we basically get it approved. Like we've never had a 482 process that's broken down. Once we've made that initial assessment and done the background work, so it is a very different sort of process compared to the skilled independent skill migration, which is a little bit more having the right number of points, having a strong profile, and then kind of waiting your turn and hoping the government gives you an invitation. When it's a business sponsorship, there is a lot more certainty attached to that, and both the individuals and businesses really like that aspect of the skilled migration from a business sponsorship perspective. Okay, going to the next slide. So yeah, like I said, so 482, that's the core visa that a lot of companies will use. And then what will happen is once they do have the person on a 482, after 2 years or longer, they can then actually assist them with getting their permanent residency as well. So there is a pathway on the 186 where they can then, help that person become a PR over here. And again, it's a very smooth, much a smoother process than someone doing it independently themselves. Um, Apart from that, there is, like I said earlier, many industries, construction, trades, hospitality, legal. There's a lot of pockets where there is a big shortage. I know the government's announced big plans in the construction industry, for example, and which is fantastic. But we don't have the people to actually build the homes and build the buildings that they're trying to build over the next 5 to 10 years. And we feel that there's going to be a lot of workforce that's required from overseas, and we want to be partnering with companies on that side, just to give you one example. Um, all right. So in terms of the 482 visa, yes, like I said, it is a much more streamlined process. But it is one where, unlike the independent processes, we find that basically every single company that sponsors an employee will use an immigration lawyer, because of the complexity involved in, looking at the financials of the organization, the viability, making sure the employee has the right credentials, whether that be from an education point of view, an experience point of view. The verification of that experience is also critical as part of the process, and therefore there's a lot of technical aspects to this whole 2 to 3 month step-by-step journey that as an individual it's almost impossible to kind of learn, and you always need a specialist to manage that and help you guide you end to end in that journey. And that's where Ahmed, who I think spoke earlier, is one of our core business to business lawyers that handles the aspect for my team from that perspective. I guess if I talk a little bit about, our differentiators. So, we are a niche firm where, we're not your Ernst and Young or your Fragerman with, 10,000, 15,000 people. And we find that that actually works in our favor because, the quality of the staff that we have is definitely on par, if not better, than some of those big players. But when we work with, say, small to medium sized businesses, for them, for us, each client is top priority, and we pride ourselves on that. Whereas, some of the bigger firms at times, if you're a small fish working with a big fish, you kind of get treated that way as well. And that's why we find that we've built a bit of a competitive niche in that space where, firms that are small to medium size, we've been able to, beat some of the big boys at times and get their business. And that's what, we're really trying to drive home as our competitive edge in the market. Um, 186, like I mentioned earlier. So this is the second visa that's very popular within the business sponsorship side. So this is more towards getting people directly towards a permanent pathway. And again, there are some companies where if it's a very niche skill set, they sometimes need to go towards a direct 186 pathway and just to attract the talent from overseas, and they do that. But a lot of times we find that companies do want to either try someone for a couple of years before they then help them with the PR process, and therefore they bring them on the 482 first, and then they'll put them through the 186 once the person has proved their value and showed their loyalty to the business as well. Um, the third and final one that I'll just speak about briefly is the 407 training visa. Now, this is a visa where businesses use this one where, it's usually more of a junior candidate that maybe doesn't quite have the experience to meet the eligibility criteria or what the government desires in terms of an experience level for the 482 or the 186. And so the 407 is a training visa where we'll create a plan for that individual over 12, 18, or 24 months, and they'll basically get a chance to obviously add value to the business, but also at the same time develop their skill set. And so yeah, the 407 is a good option when the person is not quite eligible for the 482 side of things. So this one is around, yes, I mean, ensuring compliance and effectiveness, that's key. And again, what we find is that, sometimes um, if people do try and do the process themselves, they'll do, for example, 80 to 90% of it correct, but there's 10% that they just don't quite have the knowledge, and we often have to, jump in and fix up those mistakes. That then takes even more time and effort than if they'd engaged with us in the first place. So yeah, definitely, I would say whether you go through us or go through anyone, if you are a business that's looking to sponsor employees, then my advice would be definitely engage with an expert to manage that process for you. Look, the last thing I just want to mention is probably something a little bit unique for our side, which is um, we also do have that recruitment and talent acquisition background as well. So at times we found that businesses, they don't want to deal with different entities for different things. They just want an end-to-end solution. For example, they need five technology professionals, and they want one company to manage both the recruitment and the visa sponsorship. And this is where, because of the network that we have and the collaborations that we've established over many years, we can actually provide that end-to-end solution from both hiring and an immigration sponsorship point of view. So yeah, that's basically everything from my side. So yeah, if anyone is interested or wants to talk further, we are happy to have a chat at any time. Both myself and Amit, like I said, Amit heads up our business to business partnerships from an immigration standpoint, and happy to jump on a call. And yeah, you can just reach out to us, and we can set up a free consultation to talk through any potential things in the pipeline that you have. So yeah, that's about it for me. Thank you so much.
That was awesome. Well done. Well done, Aman. Does anyone, while Sarah puts the final round of networking together, does anyone have any questions? Maybe one? No? All good. That's okay.
I don't have any questions, but I would love to connect and hear your advice. I will reach out later.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks for the presentation.
Talk soon.
I mean, I know I've worked with similar companies to you, and it's quite a process. So it's good to have someone like yourself that can manage it really well. So well done.
Thank you, Chris.